Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all of you to the EDB weekly seminar. This is the 8th program in this series of webinars. EDB's objective of having this webinar series is to educate our business community as well as new entrants to the export business on various aspects of exports. So today we are going to focus on IT industry, innovation and branding. So to be more precise, the topic for the webinar today is IT innovation and branding globally, a success story of an IT solutions brand from Sri Lanka. So agenda, if I am to give an agenda outline, the webinar as usual will be having 2 sessions. First, our resource person will make a PowerPoint presentation. It will take about 25-30 minutes, and then we can go for Q&A session. Moderator as well as the participants can ask questions to get more clarifications from the resource person. And we will be having 30 minutes time for moderator and the participants to have the Q&As. Participants can type and send in their questions using the Q&A option available in the Zoom application. To start before starting the presentation, it's my pleasant task is to introduce our speaker, the resource person, Mrs. Lakmini Vijayasundara, co-founder and CEO of Iron One Technologies and Boardpack. Lakmini is a Sri Lankan technology entrepreneur who focuses on making Sri Lankan technology products gain global brand recognition. She has started out in her engineering discipline with her education at the Imperial College of London. Not only her company, she herself has won many accolades through her experience, and some recent wins were being selected as a prestigious Ernst & Young winning woman. Another is the overall winner of the SARC Woman Entrepreneur of the Year 2019. We have given some more introductions in the flyer, but now with that brief introduction, I would like to hand over the floor to Mrs. Lakmini Vijayasundara to make her presentation.
So thank you so much, Anoma, for that lovely introduction. Mentioned. I will start with the presentation. I believe you all can see the presentation now.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Yes. Yeah. So the topic being innovation and branding globally, a story of a Sri Lankan company with 100% IT local technology, taking the brand and the innovation global is the topic of the session today by me. So I'm really happy and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really pleased to share this story with you, and hopefully some of these pitfalls and various things that we came across will sort of help you all to avoid them maybe. And so as I start, let me just, for those of you who don't know Boardpack, I thought I'll just do a quick introduction of Boardpack and start it off and talk about the story, starting from the initial stage all the way to the current stage where the challenges are quite different. So I'm starting off with a quote from Steve Jobs. This quote is probably my all-time favorite quotation, where he says, "The people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do it." That quote was actually said when he was doing one of his early launches, and that was said to his team. We really believe that, and hopefully we believe that we as a Sri Lankan company is pretty much one of those, set of crazy people that he mentions. So as I mentioned, I'll just first touch on what BoardPack is, for those of you who haven't come across BoardPack, and a little bit about our vision, so it'll make sense what this journey is all about. So BoardPack pretty much is, it's an IT solution. It's 100% homegrown from, Moratuwa, Colombo, Peradeniya University grads, as well as SLIIT, as well as IIT, etc. Completely homegrown, all of it. So the IP and the intellectual property, even the trademarks, all that lies in BoardPack in Sri Lanka as a group company. So we're really proud of that. And the product itself, it's a B2B product. It's for, I'd like to say large corporates, but actually it's not only for large corporates. We started off selling to large corporates. So corporates have board directors and board meetings. So this solution is a automation to the original or traditional way that board members used to do their board meetings with paper, large, big piles of paper that they used to do. So, actually, you'll be surprised, because even we were surprised to see how many very, very large companies, even as of to date, when we meet them, they're still on paper. You think that the highest level of security and highest level of the organization would be automated, but this is a vacuum that we saw and we took opportunity of. So the board members pretty much use iPads and different devices. We've got military grade security, as well as the design of it has been done really specially to be so easy, like a child can use it. And that has been our success. So that's a little bit about our product. In terms of what we've been doing, so obviously we started in Sri Lanka, and thereafter, I'm proud to say that if you take the market share in the Asia-Pac region, there is no other competitor, no other product that can meet it or match it. We are sailing. So there are many countries right now that we operate in, and we have leadership in many of these markets. I'm proud to say even India. And we've already started growing beyond that region to Africa, USA, etc. So in terms of our brand, we are covering about 30 countries right now, and 6 countries of so 6 countries of officers that we are covering. And when we take the team currently, originally we started with just a Sri Lanka team. And as you can see, this picture that you see on screen shows our multinational team right now. That ranges from USA to India, Australia, South Africa, etc. Which I'll talk about, and why we had to do it and what was important in doing so. I said I'll talk about the vision. So actually our vision is not to just be like an international product. We've just set our goals. We want to be the #1 board meeting solution globally. We also want to have a stake in those top brand rankings. And we truly believe that, originally if you take these lists, they were dominated by USA. But recently when we look at it, quite a few Asia-Pac companies are in it. Of course, China and some in India, but not only them, several other countries have come into the ranks. We sort of believe that we'll give a shot at it, and why not, right? So that's another thing that we're doing. So as you can see, I think this is Forbes, some of the Forbes top brands. Many of them are IT, by the way. And as a very niche IT player, we believe that we should have a good chance at getting onto the top. And when I talk about the story, you'll understand why we sort of have great confidence in that. Incidentally, as I mentioned, even India, if you take the 260 unicorns, and for those of you who don't know what the definition of a unicorn is, it's a $1 billion valued company, which is not listed yet. So there were 260 when I looked at it last time. And then out of that, 58. So quite a growing number coming from India. So I'm sure you've heard of like Ola, Snapdeals, Tomato, Quikar, Flipkart, many. They all have quite interesting stories. They're in our neighborhood. They're just next door. Of course, big country. But why not Sri Lanka, right? I mean, we have such good talent in IT. So that is something that I truly believe in. So starting from our early days, so I thought of just sharing some of the learnings or the lessons that we learned that may help you all, for those of you who are entrepreneurs and wanting to be entrepreneurs. I have so many, but we had to sort of decide on some to fill in 25 minutes or half an hour. The first thing actually, when we started, of course, when we started off as a services company because we had to make some money and we had to grow this organically to build products. When you look at products, I actually borrowed this little piece from Travis Kalanick from Uber, co-founder of Uber. So he defines the purpose. I mean, obviously you have to have a purpose for the product. You have to have a purpose for the company. Otherwise, a bunch of 100 people will be pushing 100 ways and nothing will happen. So our purpose, as I mentioned, is we will be a global brand, #1 board portal, to be the best or the highest market share globally. And that is what everybody in the company is working towards. When it comes to the product, it is sort of important that it has to be useful for somebody. And the key things that Travis from Uber, what he highlighted is there are 4 like fundamental kinds of magic that a purpose has to have. And I truly believe it because all 4 are covered in BoardPack. So let me just go through them. So one is time. So as this slide shows, you've got to either give back time. That means save people's time. Time is really valuable for people. So if you can stop wasting time with the kind of solution that we give, that's valuable. People will pay for it. People will say good things about you. So that's one. Obviously, BoardPack is a board automation. No longer do people have to print and do all these things. So that fitted. You have to give joy, happiness. So like, for example, I'm taking this from Uber. So when it comes to Uber, they gave a lot of joy because originally when they built it, it was a joyous or a very happy situation for them to go in the Uber rides. Of course, I won't go into those details. Please. I mean, there's a lot of videos of Uber and their original history. So joy is one of them. In our case, the directors love it. The directors used to hate looking at these paper documents, and therefore that was an area. And then there's calm. So security, all that is there for the calmness. And of course, it saves money, no more paper printing and things like that. When we started, as I mentioned, we started with Nations Trust. It was a services project. They wanted us to build an iPad-enabled board meeting solution. Simple as that. Before we knew it, like within months, Bank of Ceylon, SLT, Commercial Bank, they all just simply wanted it. And a lesson that I want to share is going global didn't happen very late. It happened very fast. It was almost our 4th client that became a global client. And the global client came from Malaysia. It was simply an introduction. When we went to SLT board meeting, they pretty much just said, the CEO, in fact, he's there, Sandeep Das, he asked us, do you have a partner in Malaysia? And immediately we said no. I mean, at that point, we didn't really have much money in hand. We didn't have a major plan, but we didn't want to delay. We just went there. Quite daunting. We didn't even know whether the product was good enough at the time. But we took the chance, just went out there. And I mean, that particular meeting was a milestone. It changed BoardPack, gave us confidence. The product itself was hardly built. It was just built for 3 customers. Those of you who use BoardPack or know BoardPack know that Annotations is a fundamental part of our ability to write on the pack. Even that wasn't there. We were just putting it together, promised Maxis that it will be fully fledged, delivered, and they also became our partner. And that was the start of it. I mean, I have lots of stories of Maxis, but there's not enough time. So I'll skip that. So literally the lesson is lesson one, do not delay. Don't worry. If you have a minimum viable product, it's best to go out there and get it out rather than delay, because you'll find out what your customers want globally. So after Maxis happened, I mean, things happened really fast for us. I'll move on to the second point. So the second point is, many people sort of said, why don't you build meetings for project meetings and everything? There are more project meetings in a company than board meetings. So this is something we stuck on to our focus. I mean, my theory was, if you want to build a number one product, I mean, looking at our team size, looking at our investment, if we try to sort of be the best in the total document management or the total collaboration or total, content management, for example, as you can see on this screen, we're going to be like, I'll have to go say I'm better than Microsoft in everything they do, or Google in everything they do. I mean, we have to kind of take something, although I say something that is impossible, we have to take something also reasonable that we can work towards in the next goal. So we stuck to this, and I've had many people coming to me, even partners, saying, I'm not going to sell you if you can't sell to project meetings. I want to go sell this to project meetings. And we've said, no, take Teams, take Microsoft SharePoint, they are the companies that do project meetings. We are a board portal. If you want to sell to your board, the best product is ours. No one can counter that. And that's what we'll do. So that's, I mean, it was a little scary, because there were times that partners said, you're going to lose out on some of the biggest names. But that wasn't true. The respect was kept. I mean, I'll just say some names, like from EY to Deloitte to Petronas, which is one of the largest oil energy companies in the whole of Asia, Bank of Singapore. I'll get to this a little later, but we won staying on focus. Another point in the early stages was, being a smaller company, we were advised to go to smaller companies. Do the smaller ones before you go to the big ones. We did exactly the opposite. We went to the largest companies. So for example, when we went to Malaysia, we did the Stock Exchange of Malaysia. That was our first customer. Then as soon as Stock Exchange came, Maybank, which is the largest bank, took it, and etc. And some of these logos are here. We have over 1,000 now of the largest companies, from Bank of Singapore, Great Eastern, and also Indian. And the top notch, I mean, in a company, it's not just ordinary people using it. It's the chairman, CEOs, directors, the topmost decision makers who are using BoardPack in these different companies. Interesting story that I want to bring up is about India. Another thing is, we're next to India. When we have good products, lots of people still told me, do not go to India. It's not going to work. They have so much technology, etc., etc. I actually delayed going to India because of it. Not that I regret it, but India is cracking. I mean, India, from the Central Bank of India to the largest companies in India. I mean, this is just a little segment of it. From Bank of Baroda, Yes Bank, you name it. We have the largest market share for BoardPack in India. So that's a Sri Lankan company, technology brand, going out there to India. So those were the things that I picked from the early days of starting. And then some interesting things are also there in the growth strategies, because the kind of challenges we have when we are growing versus when we are small was very different. And in fact, sometimes I think early stage challenges are easier growth stage challenges are much more difficult because we have difficulty in getting advice when we are in this part of the world. So maybe if we were in the US, there'll be lots of companies to ask and share this knowledge, but there are fewer companies. I don't say none, but fewer companies that have taken the growth strategies. I'm just gonna just jump to a benchmark in the industry. So as you know, as I mentioned, we started with services to make sure that we had the initial capital. So the blue line shows services. The services is fairly reliable. You don't have to spend much because you have a client always. When you have your team set up and ready to do the work, you already have, apart from the bench people, you generally always make profit. But when it comes to a product, and if you're an entrepreneur who hasn't started yet, please be ready. It's not, we talk about our successors and the 30 countries now, but day one, all the way, even now to some extent, it's quite challenging because you have to keep on investing. You have to keep on taking the risk. And the green line is a happy line for a software product. But if you don't have enough money and if you run out maybe, or you don't do the right things, that red line certainly, I can say, will come to you. So it's risk and reward if you're doing a product. And I just switch the screen to this other screen, which shows specifically products. You will see this through of sorrow path, which really we have to go through quite a bit before we get to the success part. I honestly must say that even the scale up period has bumps. It's not so smooth because once you scale up to some level, again you have bumps because scaling up is extremely tough, and the things you have to do are not very transparent, right? So this up and down bumps is like initially, like if you take BoatPack for example, when we initially had the success in Sri Lanka, that would be this little bump. I don't know whether you can see my arrow, but the little immediate thing is when NTP took it, Bank of Ceylon took it, we were in like euphoria. Then it goes down. Then even getting Maxis takes a little time. That goes up and down. We do the countries up and down. And then after a certain point only that you even do the break even. And then you have to invest again to scale up. So that's typically the growth path that BoatPack is going through as well. So let me go through a couple of important things that I wish someone told me when we were growing. There's a magic number, 3 years. Later, I heard it from someone else as well, several people in fact, but we used to get really frustrated. So even like if you take Vodacom, we had so many things going on. So like we first tried to partner, failed, we didn't get a single client over a year. Then we were trying from the beginning for Vodacom because one of our strategies is to work with telcos. We had so many meetings. I mean, these were done through introductions. The High Commissioner of South Africa here introduced me to his friend who was the chairman at Vodacom at the time. He put us to the next division. We traveled like 4 to 6 times to South Africa, loved it, but didn't get our results. We had to change that first partner. We hired people. In fact, the person you see here on the corner, the gent, Philip, he's our business manager for South Africa. So things like that. So, but finally, we got South Africa just about a year ago, cracking. But a lot of painful times to get there. Not only South Africa, even Maxis. I mentioned that we got that introduction. It took us literally 3 years to have some success there because initially, so much of I don't really have much time. Maybe at the question time I can talk about it a little more, but challenges keep coming, and main thing is to get up, keep on finding answers for these challenges, and we got Maxis signed up. It's great. Top banks, everybody came through, I believe, because we had the Maxis brand along with us, because a Sri Lankan brand directly going to Malaysia, that's pretty tough, right? Another one was Ernst & Young. I just want to take a moment to also mention Ernst & Young is a little special because they have this Winning Women program. And those of you who are female entrepreneurs, please watch out for it. Ernst & Young Sri Lanka is hugely supportive of it. And they canvassed and won and got it. I was the first. There's been like 4 years after that of great entrepreneurs after me in this program. I had to persevere a lot, but we got Ernst & Young as a client as well for BoardPack. 55 countries. I mean, that was incredible. So those of you who are female entrepreneurs, just a little note, watch out for it and please apply. There are some limitations in terms of you have to have a minimum revenue and number of years, but I'm sure y'all can, get through that. So these are some of the matters. And again, I mean, that again goes to a 3-year sort of process because nothing came easy. We had to do a lot. Airtel India, we still haven't got it signed up. It's still ongoing in a sense as a partnership. So, that 3+ year matter happens. We are not giving up. So another important thing that we did is limited markets. This was really tough for me because at the beginning when our board advisors came to me, I had this 30 countries list and I couldn't scratch any of it off because, we wanted to do US first along with Malaysia. We wanted to do Taiwan, we wanted to do Japan. We even flew there. And, I don't want to say wasted. We learned a lot, but it didn't give us success. So then we started with Sri Lanka, Malaysia, focused a lot, got good revenue, added Singapore, added South Africa, and then India, and then we added the others. And now actually we are happy to say that we've opened up USA and some of the other countries too, but we can't do everything at once. You have to focus. I mean, we actually went through the difficult path and learned it. I'm sharing this slide because growth meant that what we did initially as an individual doesn't work anymore. Our success, our individual success as CEOs or anybody doesn't work anymore. We need volume. So this little saying is actually from Mark Zuckerberg's speech at, I think, the Harvard University, if I'm not mistaken, where he said, when the president visited NASA, John F. Kennedy, one of the janitors, when asked what does he do, who is he or something, he said, Mr. President, I'm helping out to put a man on the moon. And that's really important because what we're doing is not just board portals, not just IT, not the little stuff that we're doing, but it's trying to make a company, a unicorn, and a #1 company out of Sri Lanka. That's what we're trying to do. So literally, sorry. I'm going to skip this slide. So there are many other things also to share, but I want to start the question and answer. So essentially, as I mentioned, we are working towards having the global presence. Country by country, we need to have the #1 rank in each country. And that's the goal we are working on, which we are really confident of. And Nelson Mandela had once said, it always seems impossible until it's done. And that's exactly what's happening. So thank you so much. And it's question time.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Very interesting story.
Thanks.
I think a lot to learn from a company like you for the beginners. So I request all our participants to send in your questions using this Q&A option. Until they send the questions, I would like to ask few from you. You mentioned that growth period. You have done initial things, then came down, and then had the growth period. So during that period, what were the challenges you had? It's your own product or a branded product, ICT branded product. So what is the challenges during this growth period?
Yes, Anuma, thanks so much. So the growth period is a sort of a different type of period where I would say being in Sri Lanka, one of the challenges I faced is, I mean, I know that there are some other companies and founders who are going through the same type of challenges we are facing as a product company, trying to be global, but very few. So I'm thinking that if we were a company in the US, for example, we would have many people that we can just have a coffee with and would say, okay, Lakshmi, I had this, why don't you do that? So it's limited. So so we had to basically make a lot of decisions and risky decisions because we didn't know what the output was. So one of the things, in fact, what we did is just about 2 years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, while we were growing, we were doing well. I kind of felt, okay, this is time to accelerate. So at that moment, we didn't want to go for equity immediately. We wanted to, because we've been organic, we've been growing with our own income and doing it pretty well, growing markets and things. So suddenly I wanted to do a lot. And we got some money, a couple of $1 million on deck. And didn't seem like it could ever fail because if you take the numbers, we were doing the kind of numbers that I predicted. And I mean, there didn't really seem to be any chance of failure. So with the money, we decided we want to be number one, right? So we went and picked the biggest player in the US, found the VP of sales who grew it, and hired him. So, I mean, I really didn't think, I mean, what I thought is if the knowledge is there and he gives us the knowledge, everything else will be clockwork. But what I didn't realize, of course, we definitely got so much knowledge from him. But what I realized is our company, you know, we were doing a certain size work. Suddenly I wanted to be like 20 times more. We were not ready. Our finance certainly wasn't ready. It just went berserk. Because when that money came, we were not used to having excess money like that. So it was badly utilized. Our people didn't do their processes because we didn't have proper monitoring because money was coming in, everything was happening nicely. But with this excess money and excess expenses happening, you know, from Australia to USA to, you know, so like 4 or 5 countries we opened at the same time, expensive countries. And I myself no longer had time to devote as I did earlier. I hadn't set up the next level. We didn't have time to hire those people. There were people hired in overseas countries who didn't have enough support from here because we hadn't done the hiring. We didn't have the capacity. It was just crazy. So, I mean, we learned a lot. We got a lot of confidence that, you know, that number one product in the US is nothing special. It's actually not anywhere close to us, but I mean, we had to stop that in about 12 to 15 months. We had to stop that expense. It was a big mistake. Mistake meaning time mistake. We also got to know lots of things, the speed at which we should sell, lots of things was learned. So we stopped the hiring, and the last year, we've been setting up processes. So that's why the purpose, everyone in the company should know the purpose. So then if they know the purpose, we don't have to sort of tell them every time why it's important for them to do their job. They want to do something. It's like a nationalistic cause, right? They're part of this team that made it happen. So I always sort of tell them, I mean, maybe if, you know, people were in Facebook or Amazon when they were small, when the company was small, and, you know, you have that kind of experience that you can share when you're, you know, in your old age or something like that, right? So, so essentially, the lesson learned there when we grew. So this is just one of the lessons. Just hiring very senior people doesn't do anything because they need the structure. Company has to first be built with the structure. I don't even know whether we need senior people of that nature immediately. We are, I mean, the process, KPIs, all that is happening very strongly in the company now. And we believe that will, I mean, again, Anumat, I don't have the answer yet because we're going to do it again, but it seems like the right path and we're doing it. So thanks. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, you have to have the Malima or the set of procedures to see the whether you are going in the correct direction.
Yes, yes.
So, now you are in so many countries, and you are selling your own product. So how you manage this? Are you you said some decisions were not that good. So what is your strategy now? You are taking people from, or the sales team from those countries, or it's a mix, local talent, or whether they can suit the other markets. How you do your sales, your own product selling?
Yes, so I have to qualify to say that we are a B2B product. I mean, if you all are doing a retail product, maybe it's different. So when it's a B2B product, and also for the board, there was a lot of hand holding. At least, if I take our past, we had people to go there and do demos physically, etc. I must say during COVID time, we had a lot of transition. A lot of people were coming on online, even trainings were online. So there's a little bit of a difference during COVID time. But overall, I'll talk about what we've been doing. So maybe I can come after COVID, 3 years after, and tell you if anything drastically changed. So in the past, during the last couple of years, we tried both. What we used to think, okay, let's go with low cost, let's put a partner. We kept on failing. I mean, even Maxis, we put a salesperson of our own as well. So actually, initially, of course, we put a Sri Lankan person who was stationed there. Thereafter, we hired Malaysian people. But essentially, for deployment and sales, we placed people along with the partner, so that the partner will be pushed locally. In other actually all the markets that we've really succeeded well, we've had a combination. It hasn't worked only with our people. If a partner is there, we get lots of good brand. So we are the people who are giving the innovation. Brand comes from the local parties, and then our salespeople that we hire have to utilize this brand, utilize this partner, and make sure that we get adequate number of sales. So as I mentioned, during that growth time, we learned that there's a certain number of sales that can be done per month, because originally we had no benchmark. So now after that big company and the people who had done so much before us shared those numbers, we were very confident. Like we can now go and tell a salesperson, I know you can do, 2 to 4 sales or whatever it is. And this amount of meetings has to be done. Because earlier we were guessing, now I know. And that actually worked like magic. So earlier we had annual targets for salespeople. I learned that we must do monthly targets strictly. And that I learned from a gentleman in a very large Indian company. I probably shouldn't mention the name. He was a VP of sales. We did a lot of that. We went and spoke to a lot of people in large companies to learn what they did. And on a friendly basis, he taught us that you must do monthly targets very strongly. So I asked, what if someone doesn't meet the target after several months? He said they will leave. They have to leave because the pressure is too much. We do have a lot of challenges because our teams in these countries are very small. We don't have like 30 people in a country. So some of these larger companies, it's quite easy, right? If you have 30 people, 2 people don't perform, they can go. But when we have only 1 or 2 people in a country, it is difficult. When you take the person out, a lot of our effort goes away. So I'm sure those of you who are doing global sales knows what I'm talking about. But still, we decided we won't keep people who are not performing, because it's really bad, because the people who perform are not motivated. People who are not performing, others also think it's okay. So I'm mentioning this. This is a very fundamental thing probably, but it's a key to our success. On mute, no? Yeah. I think you're on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And to do the sales, you have to first have the contacts. You all are, you said you all are targeting big companies. So getting these contacts, or even in any export business, main question we also get is where is the leads? So how you manage it? Those are large companies. How you manage
Yes.
it?
I mean, actually, it took me a while to understand the importance of the number of leads. So if you want to get like 2 to 4 clients, and now it's not about one client, we have to get numbers, volume, right? We have to have a consistent flow of leads. Um, Originally, I thought the leads can come from the salesperson. Salesperson makes the calls. He's not a good salesperson if he can't get the leads. But as we moved along to volume, what we realized is it's an engine. And we realized in the US, when we took those senior people, they said 20 meetings come to a salesperson from the company. And then that salesperson makes his target. If he can't make his target with the 20 leads per month, then he's sacked. That's the way it operated. So, I mean, so we are working, we are not there yet. We are working towards having adequate number of leads coming. You ask me how. So going to the top, it's not easy to get the big names immediately just saying you're a company from overseas. So that's where the partnerships matter. We try to work with the biggest partners, like Telco works really well for us. Malaysia, we got all the top banks. Product was good. If the product wasn't good, we wouldn't have got them. But if not for Maxis and their brand taking this good product and saying it's good, we couldn't have got them. So brand was important. That's why I really go after these telcos and larger brands, because once you get them, they can open up the leads. Again, their leads are the big leads. They don't give us volume. There's a larger companies. Their motivation for working with us is different. They're not really caring about us making our target. So the other part is now we are doing a lot of online lead generation from Sri Lanka with the team help. We do outbound calling like India, etc. Now we started. They call and get the leads and then pass it over to the salespeople. So this is sort of working for us. We are also exploring this, but definitely focusing on the number of leads that come into the company monthly gives a good measure of how many companies we can sign up for the volume. So for growth, that is very important. We also, this also we learned in the US about what are the good databases. Every country has good databases. And when I say databases, it's a list of contacts. Companies sell it as a business. They have different ways of finding these company numbers and contacts, and it's very, very extensive. These are fairly expensive, but we believe for our product, it's worth it to buy these, because if you try to build your own database, I mean, not that we're not building, but if we purely try to build our own database, it'll take years. So this is like, if you take the US or Singapore or whatever, straight away we mark the companies, we know the contact list numbers, emails, mobiles, all that. And directly the salespeople can work. So these are the techniques we've learned, Anuma.
Before going into participants' questions, one last question I would like to ask is how you differentiated your product. It's a branded product, but a lot of IT companies, maybe there are similar products. How you manage it to take it to the top?
Yes, so coming from the IT background and not from marketing background, I used to originally think if a great product is built, you cannot lose. You will win because clients will just come after you like bees, right? Hugely wrong. product definitely has to be good. I mean, it cannot be unreliable. It cannot have bad comments. But the product has to be good enough. The product doesn't always have to be like superstar. Our product is definitely better than the others. We have our own team. We spend a lot of effort continually to innovate, but that is only part of the piece. The differentiator is about how we sell, how we market, how we are so focused, and we sort of, it's like religion for us, where we have to become that market leader. So when it comes to competition, we just, we have strategies to just go all the way out, right? So the product, as I mentioned, I mean, Sri Lanka has great talent. Anything we want, we are so confident we can build it. It's a matter of just asking them. So, for example, now during COVID, suddenly we had to incorporate all of the video conferencing, and the way that meetings work became different. So we immediately adopted that. And now we're getting different types of partners with video conferencing companies, partnering us in the US, etc. So it's the adaptability is there, but I still say, if you don't have your sales and marketing and operations also properly set up, focused, that differentiator as a company differentiator cannot come through. I also have, I don't know whether I mentioned it in the slide deck, but that Henry Ford's concept, the core concept of what you're doing, it shouldn't be completely be just a copycat. Like Henry Ford says that if he asked his users what they wanted, they would have said that they want faster horses, right? Instead of a car. So we believe that. So when we built it originally, even today, we stand quite unique as a product. The manner in which we handle the board meetings, a little difficult to say it, but if you see our system, you'll see it's very different to any other product that's there. But as I mentioned, it's differentiator of the success of the company is everything. So I hope that answers that, Anoma.
Right. Thank you. So we can now move on to the questions of the participants. First one, I would like to say this, Mr. Nilan, Ms. Nilani Seneviran says very inspirational story. If you were to build your company and brand now, what would you do differently? Any thoughts on it?
My God, it's a little tough because I mean, like for example, certain things, okay. So with all this knowledge, we are now doing accelerated brand building. All this time, what we did was make sure that this brand is viable. Like we tested in different countries, and it's good to go now. So. I mean, now I know that we cannot depend on some external person to give us directions of how to do it. So when building a brand, for me right now is about like brick and mortar now. We have to get, like I mentioned, the solid structures and all that. That is what this brand is all about. Because when, like, just think of it, like if I go around saying we are the best and nobody has bought us, maybe one company has bought us, and the competitor is, competitor has got everybody else, it has no meaning, right? No one's going to believe that I have the best brand if I don't have users advocating it, for example. So market share is very important for the brand. That's that I see. And market share can be only done by the total team. It's not only by advertising. It's about this whole selling, lead generation, the whole thing. And that's my view now. It's not about fancy marketing. It's about rock solid, growing, getting your base, and automatically your clients will say you're the best brand. I hope that answers Nilani's question. It's a little different. I think differently now, yeah?
Yeah. Um, yeah, a lot of questions. Some have, I think, you have already answered. One question from Vajira: what is your recommendation on IT products over IT services? Which one we should focus when positioning?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, of course, IT services is something that one of my companies, Iron One, does. If not for the services, I don't think we'll be standing here, because BoatPack could not have been built without money. So the services money definitely helped. Services money continues to help us in different areas. The country needs services revenue. But of course, as Vajira rightly mentioned, services means, you need large volumes of people. So, when we compete with India, for example, where they have lots and lots of people, it might be a little difficult to compete on numbers. We have to start differentiating on quality. I think Sri Lanka is actually doing that well, fairly well for the services also. They are known to be a better quality destination. That's there. But my heart is with products, innovation, and global branding, because it's a personal thing. I'm not comparing with services. For me, what ticks me, what makes me tick, what makes me get up in the morning is knowing that I have a chance to, create something and say, we made a global brand. That I'm not sure whether you can do it with services. It's a different thing. So for a country like Sri Lanka, I mean, I would advocate people to take that risk. I mean, you do remember that hockey stick. So products is difficult, especially initial stage, risk reward. You have the chance of becoming like that billion-dollar company, right? Without having a billion people. You can have it with a few people, like 300, 400 people, 500 people, you can make a billion-dollar company. Sri Lanka has that many people easily. We can find even technology. So it can be done. But initial stage, very, very difficult to sell. Selling marketing is where I think us Sri Lankans underestimate and haven't done enough. Myself too, we need to do more. So I hope that answers. So if I'm asked to pick, I pick products, but we do services as well.
Right. Does BoatPack have any competitors globally? Seems like this product is the only product in the world.
We like to project it that way. There's certainly competitors, but as I mentioned, we are very, very focused. We are differentiated. So some of these products say that we provide board meetings for any type of company. We don't do that. We say we specialize to large companies. If you're a bank, if you're a large conglomerate, if you're one of those largest companies, we are the best fit. There are, maybe hundreds of companies out there, many in USA, but we are the best fit. So for that reason, I mean, I'm not allowed to say the names of these companies, but we come to the top 3 on the RFPs in many of the large companies, so long as we are present and we bid. We get shortlisted, and generally we win those bids. The large companies. When it comes to small companies, the thing is, there's price wars and things. We don't really want to get into that. So ours, I believe, and our company, our team believes that there's adequate companies of large type enterprise. If we take, 150 countries around the world. So when we end the enterprise, we will move to another country. We'll add more countries. We won't, go to that, what do you call it, cost type of situation. Right. I hope that answers that question.
So this is a kind of different question. What encouragement we give who are engaged in entrepreneur trade? Any?
The word you mentioned is entrepreneurship?
No, entrepreneur trade. That is, I think.
I'm not so familiar with the word.
Yeah. Maybe that is for taking products in and sending out, maybe it is not relevant to the topic today.
Yes.
And one question one Mr. Yukti wanted to know is how you recruit people for your own local staff and also for foreign countries. Any particular way of getting it?
Yes. So I mean, local staff, that it's little different, and then foreign staff is different. Foreign is quite difficult actually. Local staff, of course, I mean, you know, the normal ways of like we advertise in LinkedIn, top jobs. We also focus a lot on these great places to work and that kind of program to make sure that while we are doing really good culture and all these activities inside, we get ourselves benchmarks. So we've been like the winner of #1 comradeship. We've been in the top 25 great places to work. So those things are also advertised in our advertisements for people so that they know it's a so-called great place to work to attract people. So locally, definitely that works. Overseas has been really, really tough. We are learning, but we still, I think the success of a company is their people. And if it was easy to find good people easily, then every company is successful and there's nothing, you know, so that's a success. So I've been told, you know, especially overseas, we have limited time. I like to see the person before hiring. So that means we have to travel there. Because sometimes, I mean, we have hired people over, you know, Zoom and things like that. We've done really badly. Somehow there's some kind of thing when you meet the person personally. I can't explain it. We found the person to be very different. So especially Australia, USA, etc., when we did such hiring, and we did it quickly. And you know, when we had like 10, 15 people to select from, and we had to select one person or two people, we made very bad decisions because we were in a hurry. And then somebody told me, generally, if you meet 100 people, if you can actually meet 100 people, you will find that one person that you need to pick. Right? So that's kind of a matrix, they said. But if you meet 20 people, that one person might be outside the 100 or inside the 100, if you're lucky. So you're now on luck. So that's the benchmark, but it's really, I mean, it's still a challenge, as I mentioned. So to answer your question fully, there are these people called the headhunters. We used headhunters to try and, because we don't have a brand, no, in that country. So the headhunter picks good people, gives us interviews. We use top jobs, like India is okay to do, India has, we did LinkedIn, I think. Yeah, we did LinkedIn for India. We get thousands of CVs. When we went to like Australia, USA, LinkedIn gave us CVs, but they were not of good quality. So we did headhunters. Again, we were in a rush. So in the first rounds, we didn't get good people. So as Yukti was asking, it's really tough, and you have to take time. And we are now taking more time. Sometimes around, we will not select someone. Even in Sri Lanka, if you don't find the right person, we said do another round. Let's keep looking. So I hope that answers the question. It's very basic, but it's also very, very important.
So maybe we are coming closer to the end time, but I would like to get your idea for this question. Is it possible to export an IT product, actually an app software which involves cricket? Maybe.
I mean, I'm sure it sounds retail. So as I mentioned, my forte is B2B. So when it comes to retail, a lot of the things I said may be different, because retail means that you can, like, for example, WhatsApp. No representative of WhatsApp is here, no, but we are all users, right? So you can cross boundaries of countries if you have a good app, and you can market it virally. That's how, because I never saw WhatsApp advertisement for me to take WhatsApp, right? Or things like that. So if you're doing an app and it's retail, the whole, most of what I said won't apply to you, because you can create it and you can make it viral with your friends and your extended people, and whole of Sri Lanka can support you, and then Asia, etc., etc., and you can go global. So, I mean, for me to say, can a cricket tap be popular? I'm sure it can. My concept is make it as simple as possible. Don't care whether people say that, do competitor analysis and it has to be the best, whatever. If you like it and your friends like it and you have people who like it and are willing to use it, I'm sure other people will use it, and it's up to you. And I'm saying it because Boat Pack story started a bit like that, where a lot of people say, why are you doing that? And theorizing and saying, competitors. But yeah, so we believed in it. And yes, so I say go for it.
Right. Okay, one last question about promotion of maybe commonly on IT sector. Sri Lanka should launch a promotional campaign through our missions. With a new campaign, we completely absent in international news channels. What do you say about it?
Well, here's the thing. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up, because this is something I forgot to mention. I wanted to mention it. So when we went to India, I told you that India was very successful. EDB had this market assistance program. So it was quite challenging to get through, to pass that with EDB. And once that was done, we gave our plan, and that was a marketing budget. And with that marketing budget, we created marketing material, sent it to India, and we got a lot of very, very good responses. And that's a EDB program that was very, I think it's going on, it's continuing to go. So there are lots of programs in Sri Lanka, I mean, EDB itself. And then there's the IOI program that SLASCOM, ICTA, EDB is doing. So there's a lot of things going on. It may not be visible for us as individuals, but these volunteers in SLASCOM and ICTA and EDB doing so many things, there are a lot of programs. So I guess the thing is, we must also support it. We must put more case studies and things like that. And then encourage these bodies that are doing it. So I don't really think that nothing is happening. There is stuff happening, and the industry must support it.
Right. Thank you. So we have completed the session. I think time is up. Several questions are there, but when I see those, I think you have covered during the session. So it's a very interesting, and we learned a lot through your discussion. I think participants also learned good lessons from your story. So I would like to thank everybody for participants as well. Very live discussion. And you, especially I would like to thank you, Lakmini, for very good presentation and the clarifications given at the Q&A session as well. So this webinar can be seen, the recording will be published on the EDB Facebook page as well as YouTube channel. Anyone can see it at their leisure. So with that, I will end this session. Thank you very much, everyone, and wish you all a pleasant evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Anuma.